Hey, hope you're having an awesome day and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Jason Walter. I'm a realtor here in Sacramento, California. I notice that a lot of people are searching on Google for what contingent means in real estate and I often get this question a lot from my clients. So I thought I'd make a video about it. Before we get started, to never miss a video about real estate and entrepreneurship topics, subscribe to my channel right now and hit the bell to be notified when I post new videos. Go ahead and subscribe right now. Okay, let's go ahead and dive into the video. Contingent or contingency could mean a few different things in real estate. First, it could just be a status of a listing, or it could be related to an offer to purchase a home by a buyer. For the status of a listing, this means that the seller's agent, who is also called the listing agent, places the listing online as contingent, meaning that the home sale is going to be contingent on the buyer selling their house first. This means that the buyer needs the proceeds from the sale of their house in order to buy a new home. For example, the buyer offers to the seller, says, hey, I will buy your house as long as I can sell my house first. And that is what's called a contingent offer. If the seller accepts that offer, the listing agent will continue to market the property to try to generate backup offers in case the buyer's house does not sell within the agreed upon time. There's a lot that goes into how to write an offer that's contingent on the buyer selling their house first. And so if you want more detail about that, just leave a comment below and I'd be happy to make a video about that. Contingent also refers to a buyer who is offering to purchase a property that is contingent on a number of different factors other than potentially selling their house first. Contingencies are in place to really protect the buyer as well as their deposit. Common real estate contingencies are an inspection contingency, and an appraisal contingency, and a loan contingency. I'll go over these in detail. In the greater Sacramento area, it's common to have a 10-day inspection contingency period, meaning 10 days from when the offer is accepted, as well as having a 12 to 15-day appraisal contingency period, and then a 21-day loan contingency period as well. The inspection contingency is a time period where the buyer completes all of their investigations and inspections. They also review and approve all the disclosures that are given to them and basically approve of all matters affecting the property. I won't go into too much detail about this because the video would be far too long, but basically sellers are required to give to the buyer or disclose to the buyer any known material or significant matters affecting the property or desirability of the property. This is to help to eliminate any misunderstandings about the condition of the property or the desirability of the property to the buyer. For example, is there an active roof leak? Is there any plumbing that doesn't work in the house? Is the central heat and air system not working properly? These will all be really important factors that the buyer would want to know before purchasing the house. Also, during this inspection contingency period, the buyer does all their inspections at the house. And this typically is within a 10-day period from when they get their offer accepted. The 5 most common inspections that buyers typically pay for are what I call the Big 5 or FERCs. And that would be a pest inspection, a home inspection, a roof inspection, a chimney inspection, and a sewer inspection. Pest inspections are typically around $150. And you would think that they would go and try to find any rats and mice, but they actually don't. Pests really mean wood-destroying organisms. So they go throughout the house, inside and out, to look for any dry rot or any evidence of any wood-destroying organisms, such as termites. And this is super important to get done because you can pay $150 and find up to, I've seen pest reports, up to $30,000 worth of damages at the house, with could be dry rot and termites. So it's $150 well worth spent. They also look for any plumbing issues such as leaky pipes. A whole home inspection is typically around $400, and it really depends on the size of the home and whether or not there is a crawl space or not. So a much larger home may be $600, whereas a smaller home may be closer to $400. The home inspector inspects the exterior of the home, which would include the roofing system, as well as the chimney if there is one. And they also go in the inside of the house looking for any electrical issues, any issues with the plumbing or the central heat and air system, as well as going in the attic or the crawl space if there is any. The roof inspection is typically free in the greater Sacramento area. There's a couple different companies that do that for free. And the roof inspector goes to the house, walks on the roof, and inspects to see if there's any damage to the roof. Common findings for roof inspectors, especially for a tiled roof, would be cracked tiles. That's because if you walk on the tiles wrong, they actually can crack. The chimney inspection is typically around $50 to $100, and the chimney inspector inspects the fireplace inside the house, but they also go onto the roof to inspect the chimney to see if there's any issues there as well. Another important inspection is the sewer inspection, which is typically about $150, and that's where the sewer inspector has a snake with a camera at the end of it, and they snake it from the clean out to the house, and they also run it to the opposite direction to the city or county main. And again, this is an important inspection to pay for because you can find thousands of dollars worth of damages and you're only paying $150 to uncover those. If you see a house that is older, that has many mature large trees along where the sewer line would be, then it's really important to get a sewer inspection. Common issues that I see are root intrusion, where the roots penetrate through the pipe and cause damage to the sewer system. And again, this could cost thousands and thousands of dollars, so it's really worth it to pay $150 just to have a sewer line inspected, just to give you peace of mind. So those are really the 5 main inspections. Other inspections could include a well inspection if the home has their water supplied by a well rather than directly to the city or county. Also, if the home is not connected to the city or county's sewer system, they may have a septic system, which you may want to get inspected as well. But it really varies by your area. Just talk to your realtor about what they recommend. It's important to note that the truly unbiased opinion of the condition of the property is from the whole home inspector. And that's because they make a living by doing their inspections, but by not doing the repairs. The other inspectors make most of their living by actually doing the repairs that they recommend. So inherently, these inspections, other than the whole home inspection, can lead to some bias. But there's some fantastic inspectors out there, so reach out to your realtor about who they recommend and who they know, like, and trust. Okay, that covers the inspection contingency period. So what about the appraisal contingency period? So when a buyer gets an offer accepted by a seller, the lender is going to order the appraisal report. And the appraiser is a third-party, independent third-party person who's going to value the property. They're going to go to the house to make sure there's no issues with the house and also to see if there's any updates done to the house as well. And then they'll run a detailed analysis to determine what the property's value is. And what I mean by property, I mean the land as well as the home. Appraisal reports are typically around $550. Within a few days, the appraiser issues their report, which is their opinion of value. If their value comes in lower than what you're in contract for, then as a buyer, you can back out and get your deposit back if you like, and as long as you haven't removed your appraisal contingency yet. However, what most people do is they ask for a price reduction. So let me give you an example. You're in contract for $500,000. The appraiser values the property at $490,000. You can A, back out, get your deposit back, as long as you haven't removed your appraisal contingency. Or what most people do is they go back to the seller and say, hey, the property has appraised for $490,000. We're in contract for $500,000. So we want to move forward at $490,000 because an independent third-party appraiser valued the property at $10,000 less than we're in contract for. So the seller typically can say yes or no, or they can negotiate. So they can say, well, we're not going to sell it to you for $490,000, but we can sell it to you for $495,000. And so if the buyer agrees to that, they may have to pay an additional $5,000 in cash, but it really varies by how much money they're putting down in their lender as well. So just speak to your realtor. I should also point out that the point of having an appraisal report is because the home and the property itself is going to be a collateral for the loan. So if the buyer was to purchase a house, move forward, and then suddenly stop making payments on their mortgage, then the lender can foreclose on the property after a certain period of time, and they can repossess the property basically. So the lender wants to ensure that the home and property is worth at least the amount that the buyer is purchasing the house for. So if the buyer is buying the house for $500,000, they want to see the appraisal come in at least $500,000 or more. Leave me a comment below if you have any questions about this, because I know it can be a little confusing. Now that we've talked about the inspection and appraisal contingency period, let's talk about the loan contingency period. And in my area, that's typically around 21 days after the buyer gets an accepted offer. Now within that 21-day period or whatever period you have in your contract, the buyer has to get a final loan approval from their lender. If for whatever reason the buyer doesn't receive a final loan approval from their lender and they haven't removed their loan contingency yet, then the buyer can get their deposit back and back out of the deal. I know what you're thinking. How can the buyer not get a final loan approval if they're already pre-qualified to buy the house? Now, I tell you from experience that this actually does happen. Sometimes the buyer gets a pre-approval letter from their lender and doesn't disclose everything about their financial situation. So once the lender finds out about it, sometimes they deny the loan. Or there could be things that the buyer does that could disqualify them from getting the loan. For example, so maybe the buyer purchases a boat, an RV during the escrow period. Maybe they lose their job during the escrow period as well. That would disqualify them from buying the house. Remember, these contingencies are really in place to protect you as the buyer. Without having contingencies in place, you really run the risk of losing your deposit when things go awry. So speak to your realtor about what's best for you. I went over a lot in this video, so if you have any questions or comments, please leave me a comment below and I'll answer any questions that you may have. Also, follow me on Instagram. I'm Sacramento Realtor, and send me any messages with any questions you may have. If this video was helpful, let me know by subscribing and hitting the like button. I truly appreciate the support from you. Thank you very much. I hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.